Our next tool and technique is Agile release planning. Now, obviously, this is from the world of Agile, and Agile is becoming more and more important in projects because projects are becoming a lot more inclusive of Agile processes. So in time management here, we're looking at a way to schedule. And one of the ways to schedule is to develop a roadmap for how certain functionality will be released in software that will be incrementally delivered to users. So here in Agile Release Planning, we focus on that. How do we put together a plan for how the different releases will be released to the users that actually need this product or this software? So while they work iteratively in teams, some Agile teams may focus on releases. So what is a release? The Scrum Alliance tell us perhaps it's easiest to say that a release occurs when the development team gives working software to someone outside of the team to use for its intended purpose. Now, the Scrum Alliance go a lot further than this in documentation, but the bottom line is a release is when you say to someone, here, go, use this. Releases are usually the result of multiple sprints of concentrated development effort. So the team has been working around the clock. They've done various sprints. As you can see on the screen, there's a doodle of Agile, and people use the term product backlog more than project backlog. But you get the idea. The product backlog or project backlog is a backlog of stuff that has to be done. And in each sprint, you take a few slabs of that product backlog, you put them into development, you complete the sprint, and then you go back and you get more, and that is how sprints work in the world of Agile. So the bottom line is in Agile release planning, you are thinking of a roadmap for how to release different functionality across to the customer. So it's encapsulated in figure 6-20 in the PMBOK Guide 6th edition. If you take a close look at that figure, it says relationship between product vision, release planning, and iteration planning. So the product vision, the vision that the product owner, for example, has for the product is broken down into a roadmap of sorts. So the product vision drives this roadmap of the different releases, the releases to the customer, and each release is broken down into different iterations or sprints, as you will. So the product roadmap drives release plans. What are we going to release in release 1? Well, it's going to be this, and this. We're going to have iterations up to the nth number depending on how the planning efforts unfold. So within release 1, we've got a number of iterations. But you don't stop there. You decompose this to further understand. Under the iterations, you've got features. So under iteration 1, for example, we've got this plan of the features that are going to be in the iteration. And what are the features? Well, when you think about the features, think about user stories, user-centered descriptions of functionality that is needed. So you've got these user stories that tell a story of what the user wants to do. As a project manager, I want software that will enable me produce reports so that my stakeholders will be happy. That's how user stories are written. So the iteration plan schedules feature development. People say Agile is loose, but it's not loose. It does focus on what needs to be done and when, and that's why this aspect is in the planning and time management aspect. Prioritized features such as what you're seeing on the screen, user story 1, user story 2, and so on, these prioritized features delivered by user stories are estimated in story points. And story points are not necessarily hours or months or weeks. It's more in terms of what the team thinks would be the required effort and maybe even difficulty at times. So based on the effort needed to complete the work. We can estimate based on story points the magnitude of each of these user stories. And ultimately, we break down these into tasks. So the tasks are estimated in hours, and these give us an idea of the time that is required to deliver these user stories. So all of this information is new to a lot of folks, but those of you who have been into the world of Scrum and Agile probably already know this. So the bottom line is Agile release planning is used as a tool and technique in developing the schedule, especially in Agile related projects. So when you think about release planning, think about your release planning as a very high level plan for the different sprints. And this gives the team an idea of the passage of time and the key milestones while delivering working software to the client. And that is on page 216 in the PMBOK Guide, 6th edition.